Okay.
It's all set?
It's all set. Yes.
Okay.
Let's go.
So welcome to everyone. So I'm meeting with so many new people. So thanks for organizing this workshop, Andrea. It's a pleasure to be there today. To be in front of my screen today. So we're going to speak about the European funding programs. As discussed with Andrea, the idea basically is to have a big picture about what's going on regarding European funding opportunities. What are the main programs, and to give you some insights, ideas, concepts, and let's say big picture to understand a little bit more about all the opportunities regarding your different organizations. I have no idea about the kind of organizations you are, if you are small companies, startups, early stage, pre-revenue, SMEs, large organizations. So it's going to be generic today, and I'm going to give you some info during something like half an hour, let's say, and try to answer all your questions for the last half hour we will have. So my name is François Lepage. I'm working for the European Commission for a long time now. I think it's my 23rd year as expert, auditor, and evaluator. I basically started my career in around the 2000, working on a large project with many different European governments involved, working on the use of the biometric for the next generation of ID documents, and that project has led the launch of the biometric passport. So I founded a startup after this project. I applied for 9 different patents, and I developed the company during 15 years, listed it on the stock exchange in Paris, and sold my business in 2016. And since then, I'm working on both sides. On one hand, I work for the European Commission, so I'm evaluator on mainly all programs. And on the other side, I'm helping organizations to apply to EU funding. And of course, when I help organizations apply to EU funding, I refuse to evaluate any other projects for ethical reasons. So today's agenda is built around 3 main objectives. First thing is understanding the different program, which program do we have today, what is available, how it works, etc. We'll make a little focus on the 2 main programs for you. As far as I understand, most of you are in the cyber sector, so I tried to focus on what is the most interesting for you, and I'll give you some recommendations and tips at the end on how to by which program to start, and how to organize and structure your funding strategy with the European Commission. How it works. As you know, the European Commission and the Parliament are voting laws, directives to fix all the objectives for the coming years. You have heard about the Deal Grill, the Repower EU, etc. And to boost all these decisions and regulations and laws, the Commission sets 7 years research, development, and innovation funding programs with the aim to accelerate the capacity to reach the objectives which are fixed. You probably heard about the last 7-year contract program, which was Horizon 2020. That name should ring to your ear. And since 2021, we have entered into the Horizon Europe program, which is the largest program in terms of funding at the EU, and which will last until the end December 2027. Horizon Europe is the big part of the available funding, but there are some other programs, and there are many programs and many more sub-programs. So let's have an overview of what is available today in terms of the main schemes. So Horizon Europe, it's to give you an idea of the size of the program, it's 95 billion euros, which are going to be allocated to all sectors, all existing sectors, during 7 years. Uh, Most of the programs available today are collaborative R&D programs, which that means that in most of the case, 99% of the available funding is for consortiums, group of organizations made of SMEs, large organizations, public research institutes, private research institutes, associations, etc. So on top of it, we have Horizon Europe. You have another one. So Horizon Europe covers every sectors. As I said before, Life program is more for the environment. So the program focus more on how to protect the natural ecosystems, for example. So it's not in your scope today. Eurostar is another program. It's a very, very old program, which I would say, which is the small format size of Horizon Europe programs. So we'll have a look at it a little bit later. And the Innovation Fund, to give you some idea in terms of sizing, the Innovation Fund is the largest European program dedicated to the Green Deal decarbonation. So I'm evaluating at the moment projects on the Innovation Fund. The average cost of the project we are evaluating at the moment are around 1.3 billion euros, requesting between 100 and 500 million euros in grant from the EU. So to better fit about your sector regarding cybersecurity, we will go a little bit more in detail on Horizon Europe and Eurostar, because they are they are covering any sector. And what is interesting between those two programs is that Horizon Europe, it's a top-down approach. So the EU publishes call for proposal, and you decide whether or not you want to answer these calls for proposals. And Eurostar is exactly the opposite. It's an open call, so you decide what you would like to do, and you submit a proposal to Eurostar. The main difference is that Eurostar is totally focused on SME and startups since 2 years now, and the amount of grant is smaller than on Horizon Europe, where the average amount of grant is between 5-6 million. Eurostar remain below 2 million euros. So let's start by Horizon Europe. So the structure of the Horizon Europe program is based on 3 pillars. So the first one, pillar 1, is not for you. It's totally 100% dedicated to research and researchers. The pillar 2 is our concern, where you will discover all the different clusters to cover all sectors. And pillar 3 is a mix between very early stage startups, and also it embeds everything related to the nuclear, also Euratom program is in pillar 3. So today we're going to focus on pillar 2, and in pillar 2 we have a cluster which is of our interest for you, for the cybersecurity. It's called Civil Security for Society. That cluster, so what you have to understand is that each cluster has a dedicated work program which is published for 2 years. So we are now under the 23-24 work program, and by the end of the year, by Q4 2024, we will have the new work program for the 2 last year of Horizon Europe, 25 still 27. So we are waiting a lot more call for proposals. So now it's nearly the end that work programs. There are, I think it's only 6 or 7 calls remaining. They have just been published on quantum, cyber in infrastructure, and things like this. So let's dig a little bit more in what is a Horizon Europe program. As I said, it's a collaborative R&D project. To be eligible, you must answer the call for proposal as a consortium made of at least 3 partners from 3 different countries or member states or eligible countries. When I put eligible countries, you have to know that the EU signs regularly different agreements for commercial, economic purpose, and some of those countries can join Horizon Europe, of course, if they fund their companies and organizations. So, in addition to the 27 member states now, you can also onboard in your consortium organizations from South Korea, Singapore, South Africa, Canada, and many other countries which have some dedicated statues, like Israel also, like Tunisia, etc. As I said, also it's a top-down approach. So we answer the call for proposal, and we focus on answering and giving some solutions to the expected impact. Because we will, if we have time, I will show you an example of a call for proposal, but everything is built around the expected impact. Also, in every call for proposal, the subject is very large, so it's very transverse, which means that most of the time you will need several competencies and core expertise from your different partners. A project lasts always 3 years. It's not on average, it's most of the time 99%, it's 3 years, 36 months. The call most of the time are between 2 and 6 million, but if we look at the statistics, it's nearly 5 million every time. And you have 3 type of projects where you should focus, and especially on the 2 first one. The last one is not really for you because CSA are not that common. But you have research and innovation action project, which means that you are going to mix in your project a part of research and a part of live demonstration or demonstration in real conditions. And for this kind of project, the EU funds 70% of your eligible cost of the project in grant. I'm talking only about grant here. And you've got innovation action, which are more research oriented, which are 100% grant funded, but they are less focusing on demonstration in real conditions. So the key is to find the right call for proposal. Because you can find some calls where you are going to say, wow, this is exactly what I'm on and what I would like to do. So it's a super opportunity. I'm going to lead the consortium and I'm building my consortium and I choose my partners, but it's my project. And you can find some other calls which are not directly linked with your activity, but where you could act as a member of the consortium, bringing your specific expertise as a piece of the solution. So most of the time, the search are done by keywords on the EC funding and tender portal. And when you find a suitable call, you can check the detailed content in the work program, which will give you everything regarding the conditions, the eligibility conditions, the amount, the deadline, etc., etc. So then the question is, do I go as coordinator or as member of a consortium? It's important to know that if you decide to go as coordinator, and if, for example, you are targeting an innovation action project financed at 70%, the EU is going to look at your financial eligibility to be sure that you will have enough financial resources to cover your remaining 30%. in terms of cost of the project. Uh, Building a project is a big work. Most of the time, it's between 3 and 5 months, depending on the complexity of the solution you would like to go for. So, do you have the resource? Do you have the people? Do you have the budget? Because it's a budget also. The preparing a project alone is an investment, and if you call for people like me, it's another investment also. So that's kind of question to think about before. And on top of it, regarding the budget, if, for example, you target a call with 5 million euro grant for the overall consortium, think about the different part of the budget you are keen to allow to the other partners, because that's going to be a big part of your negotiation when you will try to attract some members into your consortiums. We regularly see organizations or universities or SMEs saying, okay, if we want, we cannot come with less than 400,000 euros for the 3 years, because below it's not interesting for us. So things to think about. I jumped a little bit. So Eurostar now, which is our second interesting program. Eurostar is a program that I particularly like because it's a very old program, but it's a very pragmatic program. Basically, that program was built to encourage and accelerate the international collaboration between European companies. So the program was only focusing on SME until 2 years and something, where they decided to open also for startups if, of course, they have sufficient financial means to finance their part of the project. The Eurostar project is managed by the Eureka Network. The Eureka Network is not a European Commission body, but it relies on it. It's an intergovernmental agency created by the member states, and you've got the list of the country on top right, and you've got 37 countries involved, which is really large, and which opens many opportunities, especially for companies willing to start some collaboration on new markets that you would like to reach. Each country is involved in the funding of its participants. So the minimum requirement to build a Eurostar project is 2 SMEs. So if you have, for example, an SME from France and an SME from Belgium, it's going to be BPI in France who's going to pay the grant to the French company, and Sovalfin in Belgium who will pay the Belgian company. So the rules are different between countries. So you have to check before thinking about the countries, what are the conditions for each country to try to find the best suitable scenario for your partner. The amount of grant is less important than in Horizon Europe. But what is interesting with Eurostar is the success rate, which is the highest of all the European projects, because we are nearly 30%, which means that 30% in average of the proposals submitted to Eurostar are funded. You have 2 calls per year, one in March, one is in September. I'm just starting to work on the proposal for September. It's going to be the 12th this year. And the coordinator must be an SME. And of course, if you are the coordinator, because it's you who will have the maximum of work, of course, it's normal that you have the largest budget on the project. Some advantages of participating to Eurostar: the high success rate, I just said it. The possibility to reapply as much as you want if the project is not selected at first application, and the average success rate at second application rises to 44%. An average budget of 1.8, but you can have project costs higher than that. I recommend to have a minimum 3 partners in the consortium, 2 SMEs and 1 academic, because the academic is going to credibilize your hypothesis and the way you are going to structure your research and innovation. And in the sector, the most represented are biotech industry and, of course, ICT, including cybersecurity and energy. Interesting to know that if you ask for certified BPI expert to help you organizing the program, like me, typically, BPI funds 50% of the cost of the expert to help you. So it's good to know because it's the only country in the EU who does this. So regarding what to do with this at this stage, what I would recommend is to start by a Eurostar because you can really decide about the topic, about the project. Eurostar is a co-creation, collaboration, co-innovation project, but you decide the topic, you decide what you're going to do, you decide what will be the final product. The only obligation you have with Eurostar is to start the commercialization of your innovation in the 2 years after the end of the project, which can last up to 36 months, but you can reduce to 24. And what is interesting with Eurostar is that it's a good way to learn how to manage Horizon Europe project because it's kind of same principles. You have to define your work packages, your milestone, your deliverables. You have to structure what you're going to do during the 36 months. And it's a good way to learn how do you run a Horizon Europe project. Eurostar is 2 calls per year. Horizon Europe, you never know when you will find a suitable call for proposal. So at least you can anticipate some timing for Eurostar. And for Horizon Europe, it depends on the size of your company. If you are a small company or a small SME or a startup, I would strongly recommend maybe first to try to find a consortium which is under construction and to join to learn how the Horizon Europe project is built, what you're going to do in it, which effort it requires from you to give the info regarding what you're going to do exactly in the project in terms of roles, in terms of work packages, in terms of deliverables, etc. And then regularly seek for other calls for proposal. And if you are a company a little bit bigger, if you find a suitable call which really targets your precise activity, jump in it as much as you can, as fast as you can, because we're gonna have a look at it here. Some key takeaways regarding the interest and the benefit of participating to some European projects. So the first thing is either in Eurostar or Horizon Europe, use the project to fund your recruitment, especially your technical recruitment, because the EU loves when it funds some project that generates jobs. And use them also to collaborate with the partner you dream about. It's easier to talk to someone you would like to collaborate with and to invite him in a European project because he has a real big interest in coming beyond the grant for all we are discussing at the moment, instead of going alone to try to make your seduction dance to a partner without any incentives. It might be harder. And in the past years, I have seen some really super strong collaboration rising from European projects with clients who told me, oh, listen, even if we are not funded, it doesn't matter because we have now our new distributor in Lithuania or in Slovenia or in Spain, in Italy, in Denmark, in Sweden. So it's really super opportunity. Use it also to develop your network of strategic partners, especially for the key competencies you're looking for. One of my clients some 2 years ago told me they had an issue to find how to clean the broma in agricultural effluent by plant in biochemistry. And I found them the specialist, the worldwide specialist for this, by chance, is a Swiss researcher. And we invited in a Eurostar the Swiss Institute to participate with the development of this innovation. And they were so happy because they were looking for this for ages without any right solution. So it's always good to do it. Um, Another thing is being recognized in your sector by different key players will increase your notoriety and probably your sales, but will increase your chance of being invited in other Horizon Europe consortium. Because when you start participating in those projects, you extend your network pretty fast, and then people think about you, say, okay, this guy, what he was doing was really interesting. We should invite him to join our consortium for that proposal. So that's something which is really helpful. To give you, I've put an example of a French startup I was talking to some times ago, and they were invited by a large Danish company to participate in 3 Horizon Europe projects. They won it, and finally they said, okay, we don't need to raise money anymore because we've got 2 million in grant for the next 3 years, so we have enough funding to hire people and to deliver what we would like to develop. So that was just perfect. Et voilà. I think you have a short overview. Horizon Europe, Eurostar, directly linked to your sector to date. There are many other programs, many other sub programs, but it's difficult to present everything in half an hour. So if you have any question from now, I'm available.
François, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup for this presentation. It was really on spot, very exactly what I wanted to know. I hope that it's the same for everyone else in this call to understand the differences between the different programs that can be applied to members of the European Champions Alliance. I would invite everyone to ask questions, to unmute or maybe write them in the chat. I will open the chat. So if you have any question, then please write it there or just unmute. I have one question for you concerning how you would see the role. I mean, of course, our members would be interested in those kind of calls, might it be Eurostars or Horizon Europe. Have you seen let's say, players like the European Champions Alliance being a coordinator for this kind of, I mean, not coordinator in the terms of what you are doing and the services that you are doing, but helping people come together around those kind of calls and then connecting them to each other. So what do you think we could play as a role in this?
I would recommend to, yeah, maybe you could play a big role in trying to identify complementaries between your members and see how you can build a consortium either to apply to Eurostar or to apply to a Horizon Europe project. It depends on the topic, of course, but regarding your activity, for example, we did a cyber security call in cluster 3 Horizon Europe. We are preparing 2 others with a large group of companies, including Airbus, Siemens, Amadeus, Air France, the Athens airport also, and it's all related to cybersecurity and only related to cybersecurity. It's a Horizon Europe call regarding regarding the resilience of the cyber systems, cyber interconnected systems in an interconnected society. So I think you've got this kind of skill and expertise in the European Champion Alliance. For Eurostar, it's smaller because most of the time it's 2 SMEs, maybe 3 SMEs. So maybe if you have at least two SMEs from two different countries, you have a consortium, so you can do it. Most of the time, the people starting by Eurostar, they have a little bit some difficulty to understand the difference between collaboration and subcontracting things. So the reflex most of people have is, okay, I have to find the guy who can do this because I don't like it, and I need to do this. So why not attracting someone like this? But no, there is no subcontracting in a Eurostar project. It must be co-innovation. So your members can mix their effort, and I think that is interesting for your alliance to see which company can be complementary to another one, in the sense where mixing their competencies and knowledge can generate some innovation in the cyberspace, for example.
Okay, so there are two questions. I think the one from Miklos is connected to what you just said, and then we will answer also the one from Evgenia. I hope I spelled that correctly. So Miklos says cybersecurity is an interconnected society, is exactly what we do. How could we find consortium partners? How do companies do to find the partners?
That's the challenge. So that's the challenge. So what you have to know is that each member state has a network of a national contact point. In France, it's managed by the Ministry of Research, for example. And the role of these people is to answer and be the link between the European Commission and the organizations in the country. So in every 27 member states, you have the national contact points, and they are the best first point of entry to let them know you exist, to discuss with them. They are providing free services, which is they are available all year long. They are organizing a lot of events also. And when you're looking for a consortium, most of the time you can ask them to help you search for a consortium. So because they are in fact at the center of what's going on for any specific cause. So depending on the cluster you would like to apply, so for you it should be the cluster 3, civil security and society. You should contact the national contact point for this dedicated cluster in your country. First, they are going to add you on their mailing list, so you will receive every news related to cluster 3. So every time there is a new launch of calls for proposal, you will be informed. If you're looking for partners, they will try to help you if they hear about something. And I work a lot with them because I'm training them. I teach them how to manage a European Horizon Europe project. So I make training in every member states all year long, and they are really efficient. And you can also work with the EEN, European network, and the E in the middle. I don't remember. I don't use it.
Enterprise, I think, no?
Yeah, a European Enterprise Network. I don't use it a lot because it's not something I used to, but so I don't have any opinion regarding their efficiency. They might be good because they are here for quite a long time, but they can be another way of trying to find a consortium. The other and best thing to do also is go to the funding and tender portal online, create your account, register your company, and obtain your PIC number. It's your unique identifier when you are registered on the European Commission portal. And when you search for a call and you find a call which you like, you are able to propose your collaboration for this call. So every time you will see on the page, you have the call, and below you have search for partners. And you've got a bunch of list of partners saying, hey, I'm doing this. Are you interested in collaborating with me? Hey, I'm in Latvia. I'm a specialist in Active Directory. Are you looking for a specialist for this? And because these messages are dedicated to the specific calls, you can be sure that you are going to be contacted if someone organizes something. But it's more for people who are looking to join consortium. because
Okay.
most of the
And
time they don't announce on the portal people that are coordinating projects.
and where can we find the national contact points? Because it could be interesting for us as an association, but then also for our members.
You type in Google national contact point plus your country, and you should have that list
Okay.
of direct links. In France, it's on horizoneurope.gov.fr.
Okay.
So it should be the same in Germany.
So there's another question. Maybe you have already read it. It's quite specific. Maybe you can,
If
everyone
you
can read
have
it.
an idea of a medical topic that would include many different EU institutions, but it's about a rare condition, what would it be the main element to bring forward and convince about its importance? Like cost to healthcare or quality of life markers. It sounds difficult to get selected when we deal with something so specific and so rare again, children. No, for the healthcare, the only way to participate is to search for call for proposal in cluster 1, which is dedicated to health, and to try to find a topic where you have something. I strongly not recommend to apply to Eurostar for the healthcare unless you have something which is really innovative, like a new molecular or a new form of treatment. They are pretty successful on this kind of project. I'm not a healthcare specialist at all, but on Horizon Europe, the only way will be to go through Cluster 1 call for proposal.
I have another question for us, maybe waiting for someone else to ask something. I didn't know. I knew the call for proposal for Horizon Europe, but I didn't know that for Eurostars you propose something without having been without a call for proposal. Is this also open to structures like us? Is there also ecosystem projects in Eurostars?
No.
Ah,
Eurostar is dedicated to SME. So you are not eligible. You can join a consortium led by 2 SMEs,
okay,
but you will have to prove that your role is key in the project,
okay,
I would say. But you must be an eligible an SME, and an SME in the sense of the EU is 250 maximum employees and no more than 50 million euros revenues per year.
okay. And is this something that you do that you can also help companies to decide or to prepare this kind of proposal to Eurostars? If there are two
Of
companies
course,
that now have
yes.
decided to okay, we have something that is complementary, we want to work together, but we would not know how to do it. Is this
No,
something that you
it's
can do?
something I do. I'm preparing 2 new Eurostar projects for the 12th of September at the moment. And for one of them, it took us something like 3 months to decide who would be the best partners. And because it's a startup, so they just raise money, so they have ticked all the boxes for their financial eligibility, but they wanted to collaborate. That's interesting, by the way, because it's a good example. They wanted to collaborate with another SME, but for me it was more subcontracting, masked subcontracting than real co-innovation. So what I told them is that they are allowed in a Eurostar project to have some subcontracting costs as long as you justify what you're going to do and you justify the way you're going to do it. So I said, keep these people as subcontractor. You will pay for their services. And instead, go with, because you're a startup, what you need is someone to open new ecosystems. And that's key for the development of your innovation in Europe. So finally, we are onboarding the EIT climate into their project. And onboarding the EIT, it's not always easy because it depends on the financial capacity of the EIT. Sometimes they have money, so they are okay to join a Eurostar. sometimes they don't have, and they say, no, not this time, because we don't have any money to pay our part of the project. But in this case, we onboarded them, and they are going to open them the entire European ecosystem in 27 countries. So for them, the lever on the sales strategy is key, because it's going to be a huge acceleration to commercialize their innovation. So that's something you should use also when thinking about developing a Eurostar project.
Mm-hmm. So Andreas is asking, is SME clearly defined also at the EU level, or is this defined at the national level? So
it's defined at Eurostar level, which should be the same as EU level. Oui, Julien
okay.
Tenedos en France, il est très bien.
Yeah, thank you, DG, for the contact. Mm-hmm. Okay. Are there any other questions? You can also unmute and just speak up if you want.
Don't be shy, hein?
Yeah, don't be shy.
Oui, c'est une question it's a question for François from Jean-François.
Oui, Jean-François.
Thank you for the presentation, which is very clear. Is it possible to present short term projects to Eurostar program, that is to say, which last less than 2 years?
No, the minimum is 2 years, 24 months, maximum 36 months.
Okay, because for SME, 2 years is like eternity.
I know, but it's research and innovation project. So in the 2 years, you are supposed to have. In fact, the perfect Eurostar project is a project where you state at the beginning of the project that you have already kind of an MVP, something which is working but not industrialized, not something commercialized, then you can commercialize immediately. And you are going to work on it with your partners to enhance the capacity, build and grow the innovative part on it to reach a product which is that you can commercialize at the end of the project. And for SMEs, most of the time, they do project on 36 months. And startup, they always shorten the length of time to 24 months.
Okay.
Always. But sorry, no, you can't go.
Don't be sorry. Thank you.
And how do you define innovation in this research and innovation? How do you define it in the case of Eurostar?
That's a good question, because we all have different definitions of the innovation. In fact, what you have to understand also is the culture at the EU level. For decades, for the EU, research was done by people in laboratory wearing white suits, and everything which was not at the level of a researchers were not considered. Of course, things have evolved, and now they are more talking about, for example, solutions that are disrupting an entire market, for example, something completely new, something which is changing the game or modifying a sector or a market entirely, or something better, which is creating a completely new market. That can be considered our innovation and innovative. Then it depends also about the sector. To give you an example, I would say that 80% of the Eurostar projects I build for my clients, the founders, especially for small companies, the founder used to explain me that they are alone in the world to do what they do. And when I'm starting to work on the commercialization and competition landscape, most of the time I find 3, 4, 5, 6 companies doing exactly the same at different stage, of course, in foreign countries. So 80% of startup founders don't know that market and their competition precisely. And the key in Eurostar, like in Horizon Europe, is everything you say try to prove it. So you say something in the proposal, you are allowed to join some annex, prove it in the annex. If you say, for example, oh, we have obtained a lot of success, everyone is talking about us, put in your annexes the screenshot of all the articles or interviews you had for TVs, for newspaper, for online journals, etc. Prove everything you say. At the EU, we just don't believe the words. We need to see that what you say is true. And that's really key. So it pushes you to be very professional, very well structured, uh, and you cannot play with the numbers, etc., because everything is going to be verified. That's for sure.
And do you have an average, because you have said for the Horizon Europe proposals, and we have done it ourselves. I told you about the project we tried to participate in. So we saw how much work it is. Do you have like an average workload for a Eurostar project? Is there an average?
It really depends of the maturity of the company which is coordinating the project, in fact, because when the company is very well structured and everything you ask, you receive the info in half a day, you can go pretty fast. You can build a project in a month and a half, 2 months maximum. But when you've got some very young companies, most of the time they tell you, yeah, I got it, I will send it to you. But in fact, they are doing the job behind the scene, and they send it to you a week after when it's done. And most of the time, it's the assistant who does it because people don't want to spend too much time on a European project, which is a mistake, I think. The European project should be seen as a strategic move. Which can be a game changer for some companies. So it's really something to think about it.
And who is normally the person who is driving the projects? You talked about the assistant, but is it something, because you said that for the first time you apply, you have a success rate, you said, of 20 or 30%, I think, and the second time the success rate is higher. So is it just something that you need to get into some kind of a process to be sure and to know more about it to be able to succeed maybe in the second or third attempt?
No, the way it works is pretty simple. In fact, when you apply to Eurostar, your project is evaluated by 3 independent experts like me. We don't know each other. We don't communicate between each other. So it's blind evaluation. We give the grade, we score the proposal, and we send it back to the Eureka Secretariat. And then the Eureka Secretariat makes the total and says, okay, on the 3 evaluators, you have 2 recommendations for funding, for example, and 1 which is not. But the number of points you obtained help you to pass the threshold, so you are potentially eligible. And then you have a final independent panel. Officially, you never know who is in this independent panel. And very officially, I suppose you have all the representative of BPI France and all the innovation agency of the participating countries, because it's taken on their budget and they are paying for it. So they decide who they are going to fund. And then they check only the info, like the level of budget. For example, last September, we applied for a project, for a Eurostar project. We obtained 3 recommendations for funding from the 3 evaluators. But in the project, one of the partners was coming from Switzerland, and the amount of cost for its employee was huge, 300K per annum. And I said, that will never go, never, ever. So you cannot put people at that level of pay. And but they insisted, and it's exactly what happened when the project reaches the last final step with the independent panel. The independent panel said the budget is too high regarding what is to be done during the project, so we do not fund the project. So then you received an IER, which is independent evaluator review. And in the evaluation, you've got all the different topics where you should maybe rework or rethink about in your application. So we modified the application, remove the Swiss partner, reapplied, and now they're going to be funded.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. There's one question about where we can find, I think you showed it on one of your slides, the eligible countries for inviting in the consortium.
Give me 2 seconds. I give you the link. Eureka.
Okay.
Voilà. You go to eurekanetwork.org and you put your country. Voilà. Hop là. It's in the chat. And you select your country for the eligibility conditions, and you should find the answer to your different questions.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Because I have asked all of my questions.
No, what you could do, Andrea, is
Yes.
as ECA, you could join a consortium in Horizon Europe, which is participating to a cyber call for proposal, for example, because that could be an opportunity for you to be funded, as long as financially you are not in trouble, because they are going to check, of course, the health of each participant. But as far as I see, that you could do this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
well, I think we will. Yeah. Sorry.
Especially what I'm thinking about is you've got some projects, especially now the EU focus a lot on call where they ask for, I think I saw a call about this. I'm going to check. If I find it, I will send it to you. They are looking for some new solutions to help software developer to be cyber ready during the conception of the software. And what you could do maybe is to try to join a consortium like this to bring the network of the European Champion Alliances of specialists of cybersecurity to test in real conditions the developed solutions. That could be interesting.
Yeah, that could be interesting indeed. Well, thank you very much, Francois, for your time and for your dedication for our short session. I think everyone has enjoyed the presentation. Many thanks from everyone. If there is a possibility, we can discuss afterwards to share some of the slides, the ones that you are able to share. Then we can send it to the people who have been here. And
I'll
so
send you
to
the slides so you can share them. No worries.
Yes. So for everyone, don't hesitate to contact Francois. He has put his email address here, and you can also always contact me if you need a mise en relation, an intro. And yes, I hope we can identify some projects and maybe do some go-between. That would be great.
Ça serait pas mal.
Ça serait pas mal. So thank you very much, Francois. Keep in touch. Thank you everyone for being here. And